Today's big question: why do so many people hate Israel? Or to put it another way, why is Israel hated more than other countries? How do you measure how much a country is hated? And are they right to feel this way? We'll get into all of that today. But first, thank you for joining us. If you like our videos, please subscribe and join our community. We release new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So there are many ways to measure how much a country is liked or accepted around the world. These include international polls asking people which countries they view most favorably, sports competitions where fans vote on the best team, or the number of followers a country has on social media. By these measures, Israel ranks near the bottom, below countries like North Korea, Iran, and Russia. In some polls, Israel ranks as one of the least liked countries on earth. It is often in the company of countries like Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And yet the United States, which many view as a close ally of Israel, ranks high in favorability in many of the same polls. Some say the difference in rankings between Israel and America is due to anti-Americanism, but we think there is more to the story. And so today we're going to try to understand the rest of the story by answering 3 questions about Israel. Why do so many people hate Israel? How do Israelis feel about being hated? And who hates Israel the most? Why does anyone hate Israel? Well, according to a survey conducted by the Washington Institute for Near East Policy in 2018, about half of those polled said that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory was the reason they disliked Israel. And about 40% cited Israel's treatment of Palestinians. Interestingly, only 9% of Europeans gave Israel high marks for its handling of the situation in Gaza. Many of those who dislike Israel see its occupation of Palestinian territory as a grave injustice, especially when viewing satellite images like this one comparing Israeli settlements to Palestinian cities. Here is an example of one of these images circulating online. The caption reads, "Gaza Strip, Palestine. Palestinians have the right to live with dignity and freedom. Free Palestine." Another image compares an Israeli settlement to the city of Jenin, a Palestinian city in the West Bank. The caption reads, "Jenin Refugee Camp, Palestine. Jenin before and after. Apartheid Israel destroyed everything." Other common criticisms of Israel focus on the country's policies towards Muslims praying at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Here is an image circulating online showing 2 different views of the Dome of the Rock, also known as the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The caption reads, "What you see here is not normal. What you see here is an occupation. Apartheid Israel is committing ethnic cleansing in Jerusalem to make it exclusively Jewish. Free Palestine." Here is a photo tweeted by Hanan Ashrawi, a Palestinian politician and former member of the PLO Executive Committee. The tweet reads, "Horrifying scenes from #Jerusalem as Israeli police attack worshippers at Aqsa Mosque during #Ramadan." This is not a moment for complacency or silence. We must speak out and hold Israel accountable. As you can see in the photo, Israeli police are pictured beating and arresting Palestinian worshippers. One reason why Israel is hated is because it is accused of restricting the ability of Palestinians to pray at Al-Aqsa. Many believe that Israel's occupation of Palestinian land violates international law. This includes the Geneva Convention and the UN Charter. A few weeks ago, a group of international jurists published an open letter accusing Israel of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The letter reads, "We, the undersigned international lawyers, urge all states and international criminal courts and tribunals to recognize that the Israeli regime is characterized by a consistent pattern of serious violations of international law amounting to war crimes and crimes against humanity. Accordingly, we call for the prosecution of Benjamin Netanyahu and his ministers and military leaders in international courts." Another reason Israel is hated is because it is accused of committing war crimes. During the recent conflict in Gaza, both sides were accused of committing atrocities. Israel was accused of intentionally targeting civilians and committing massacres. A report released by the UN Human Rights Office accuses Israel of committing war crimes in Gaza. The report reads, "The Israeli Air Force carried out at least 60 airstrikes on densely populated civilian areas, including on homes, schools, hospitals, daycare centers, and markets. These attacks killed at least 150 civilians, including women, children, and injured hundreds more. The report goes on to accuse Hamas of committing war crimes by firing rockets from residential areas. It says, Hamas fired rockets and mortar indiscriminately from densely populated civilian areas, including from inside schools and mosques. These attacks caused significant harm to civilians in Gaza City and in southern Israel. Another reason Israel is hated is because of its treatment of asylum seekers. In 2013, Israel began its policy of deporting African asylum seekers to third countries, most commonly to Uganda. A report by Human Rights Watch reads, Israeli officials have told refugees they would never be allowed to become citizens and said that they should go back to their home countries, even if it meant they would face torture or death. Over the course of the year, at least 14 refugees who had fled persecution in Eritrea and Sudan were deported to Uganda, under an Israeli government policy allowing for the transfer of non-Jewish asylum seekers to third countries. Another reason Israel is hated is because of its support of the U.S. There is a widespread perception throughout the Middle East and among many people in Europe and North America that Israel is the U.S.'s proxy in the region. This makes Israel a target for those opposed to American foreign policy. A good example of this was during the 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah. At the time, many Lebanese felt that the war was really a war between the U.S. and Hezbollah. Here's a headline from the Daily Star, a Lebanon-based English-language newspaper. It reads, "Used fighting through Israel, says Hariri." Hariri is a former prime minister of Lebanon. He later retracted his statement, calling it a slip of the tongue. But many in the region saw it as a confirmation of their beliefs. Another reason Israel is hated is because of what happened in 1948. That year, Israel declared itself an independent state. This led to the Arab-Israeli conflict. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were forced to leave their homes. They became refugees in neighboring countries. The event is sometimes called the Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. Today, there are millions of Palestinian refugees living in Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. Their descendants are still living there. The fact that Israel was seen as the cause of the Nakba is a major reason it is hated. And finally, another reason that Israel is hated is because it is the world's one and only Jewish state. Anti-Semitism is alive and well in the world today. According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents reached an all-time high in 2021. This is true across the globe. Anti-Semitism increased in countries like France, Germany, Great Britain, and the United States. As the world's Jewish state, Israel bears the brunt of this anti-Semitism. In short, Israel is hated for a variety of reasons. It is accused of violating international law, committing war crimes, mistreating asylum seekers, and being a U.S. proxy. Its creation in 1948 is seen as the cause of the Nakba or catastrophe, which led to millions of Palestinian refugees fleeing their homes. And finally, anti-Semitism is alive and well in the world today, and Israel is the world's one and only Jewish state. How do Israelis feel about being hated? Well, the truth is that most Israelis are aware that their country is hated and they don't seem to mind too much. In fact, there's a saying in Hebrew, "Hate us if you love us," which reflects the idea that negative attention is still attention. For Israelis, being hated is preferable to being ignored. It shows that there is passion and interest in Israel, even if it's not always positive. Israelis know that they live in one of the most controversial countries on earth. They know that their actions will upset people. And they know that there are millions who want their country to cease to exist. But Israelis have a strong sense of pride in their country. They believe Israel is a force for good in the world. They believe Israel is a democracy. They believe Israel is a light unto the nations. Who hates Israel the most? Well, the countries that hate Israel the most tend to be those with large populations. That's because size matters. Countries like Pakistan, India, Indonesia, and Iran have huge populations. When you have a lot of people, it is easy to find millions who hate Israel. Not surprisingly, the country at the top of the list is Pakistan. According to a Pew Research Center survey conducted in 2021, 97% of Pakistanis have a negative view of Israel. It is followed by Afghanistan, Iraq, and Bangladesh. In Europe, the country that hates Israel the most is, well, it depends on the poll. Sometimes it is Turkey, but it is often one of the Gulf states like Qatar, Oman, or Kuwait. Among American allies, only 4 countries have a less favorable view of Israel than Turkey. They are Iran, Syria, North Korea, and Cuba. If you like our videos, please subscribe and join our community. We release new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And don't forget to check out our website. Until next time,